Hello. Pausing a few seconds because sometimes it doesn't pick it up right away. And my name is Jax West from Stephen Avery Project, Justice with Jax, MAM Gossip. Hello, Christopher, the moderator here, who will be watching the comments as we are live, and also he scans them after we're live when people watch them recorded later, and any nasty comments will be deleted and the person will be blocked. Let me put this out there from the get go. We are a supporter page. While you are entitled, my sexy girl from Miley has a day off. I'm off today. That's why we're live. Um, while you are entitled to your opinion in thinking that Stephen Avery is guilty. Oh, and Bryce is here. Bryce is my buddy that goes with me on our field trips up to Manitowoc. Um, so, squirrel, as I keep looking at people's comments, sorry. Um, you're allowed to have your opinion, but not here. This is my page, and in on my page, we believe in Stephen's innocence, and we are not going to debate that. We believe in facts and science here. So there's plenty of other places out there in the world where you can post your nasty comments, all that you like, but not here. As I said, they will be deleted and you will be blocked, period. I have the microphone and you don't, and you will listen to every word I have to say. So, we are going live today because, and sorry, now my dog is going to keep whining because they're not allowed up here and she hears my voice, and so she's not happy that she can't get up here. Anyway, I came across something posted online that is allegedly something that Stephen sent to somebody that we have posted on the front page or whatever you want to call it here on Stephen Avery Project. And so it is a picture of Stephen's dad, and then it's a Xerox or a copied picture with then Stephen's handwriting on it, saying that his brother Earl and then his brother Earl's three daughters, Kayla, Marie, and Brittany, are not allowing Stephen to have any contact with his father. Hold on. I just got a message from Christopher, so I want to make sure. Oh, it doesn't say there's anything new here. I don't know why that is. Okay. Um, so saying that his family is not allowing him to have any access to his father, and this is exactly what they did to Stephen the last year of his mom's life. I don't know the facts of this, and let me double check this. Okay, so um, I'm trying to find out straight from Stephen. And I have not heard yet. Stephen told me yesterday he would have had more time to talk about it last night, and or he said at night, and then I didn't hear from him. So I don't know if I will or not. So uh, everything that I am going to say on this is just going to be based on seeing that picture and not knowing the background on this specific instance, but I will be using past things that has happened to help voice my opinion. And we're getting a lot of hellos from around the world. And I will have you know that I did put into Chat GPT when would be the best time for me to do a live video that works best for around the globe. And it suggested this time, which is 9 a.m. my time. So for those of you have, oh God, Bryce. Um, So hopefully this time works for better for everybody, because I know a lot of people want to be here live. So I was trying to make it so people would have the best opportunity to be here live. And for those who will be watching it later, let me remind that today's date is Monday, January 19th, and this is 9 a.m. Central Time. So we'll probably be on here for about an hour. So if you watch anytime after that, we aren't live. We get a lot of people who watch these later thinking it's live at that time, and then they post questions on there thinking that I'm right there reading it and can answer right then, and I cannot. It is not live. If you have specific questions after this is live, you can always message the page Stephen Avery Project, or you can email me. That is official Stephen Avery Project at gmail.com. And Christopher is typically the person who answers anybody who messages Stephen Avery Project. So just so y'all know. But when I saw this picture allegedly from Stephen, and the best I can tell from it, from my history with Stephen, and I have received letters from Stephen in the past, it does look like his handwriting. So it does look actual to me. And in the message I sent to Stephen, I told him I was reaching out to him because I saw that picture. And so we will see if I do hear back from Stephen. Um, I guess I should go over my history with the case. And in doing that, I have to do the plug for my book that Christopher always wants me to make sure that I do. This is a self published book that is on Amazon called Wrongfully Abused, Making an Advocate for Stephen Avery by Jax West. I know Christopher posted a plug for the book recently, and he said he deleted a bunch of comments on it where people were getting all nasty, saying that I should donate all the money I make from this book to Stephen. And I gotta tell you, in the, I don't know how many years has this book been out? 3 years? Um, does this book have a, yeah, 2022 is when this book came out, and I have probably made a grand total of less than $100 on this book, because it is self-published on Amazon. Amazon takes most of the money, and every time somebody buys a book, I literally get pennies. So I am not making a lot of money off of this book, and I have over the years put money on Stephen's commissary. I have given money to his mother Dolores. So this is not me getting rich off of Stephen's story. And this book actually is my history with the case and what Stephen's family has done to me because of my support of Stephen's innocence. So if you want to know more about who I am, it's in this book. I will go over it a little bit with y'all. So I am just somebody who is like all you all, that I watched Making a Murderer on Netflix, and that afterwards I fell down the rabbit hole to research the case. That brought me to going to the salvage yard, meeting Stephen's family. Eventually, I started visiting Stephen, or no, first writing with Stephen, then talking to him on the phone, then visiting Stephen in prison. I was also writing with Brendan, and then I was talking to Brendan on the phone. And then his mother told me that she gave him permission to add me to his visitors list. And then I was going to start visiting him. And then Brendan's mother cut me out. And I got a really nasty letter from Brendan that his mom had him send to me to tell me that he was never going to talk to me again. I believe I did post a picture of Brendan's letter to me in my book. Um, so I got very involved in researching this case. I live in Illinois, so not far from Manitowoc, and I go by facts and science, as I said early. Oh, tell about the chip bag story, Bryce says. Um, this is Brendan. Okay, so here's a quick story I can tell you on Brendan. So I went with a friend who was on Brendan's visitors list at the time. I drove with her to the prison that um, Brendan was in at the time. And I was going to just be waiting in the car while Brendan was, or while she was in visiting with Brendan. I was not on his visitors list at that time. That actually, on the drive back from there, is when Barb had told me that she was giving the blessing that I could be on his visitors list going forward. So Brendan knew from phone conversations that I was going to be sitting in the car while they were having their visit. And um, Brendan's like, "What are you gonna do during that time?" And I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about it, because it's a couple of hours, that they're gonna be in there." And I'm like, "I have my phone first of all, so I have internet. Um, I can nap." And I said, or I could go for a walk, because it's out and BFE, and so first thing in my little Brendan story is he told me to be careful because if there's any inmates outside, they could whistle at me. So I just thought that was cute. And again, showing that Brendan is, like a little boy. And then when my friend came out of the visit, and you know what? I don't even know how I never went in um Brendan's prison, so I don't know what the rules are from there. I have been in 3 different prisons for visits, and we are not allowed to take stuff out. Like you are able to take out if you get your picture taken there. So, um, so I've had my picture taken with a visit for Stephen. Here's Marnie Yang that I was just in court for last week, and then Melissa Kalyazinski. Um, so, um, and then here's another picture of me with Stephen on a visit. A picture Stephen took by himself because when I would go on visits with him, he would want to give me a picture of him to post for his supporters. And then he mailed this one to me once, that wanting me to post on Stephen Avery Project, that says, "Love my supporters." That has a date on it, March 11th, 2019. So, I know on the visits that I have gone to, I'm not able to bring stuff out other than what you brought in. And then if you have a picture was taken there, or if there's times that Marnie or Melissa, they want to send stuff home, so it's not in their room any longer, and so that's stuff that's waiting for you when you leave, not stuff you bring through. But anyway, so my friend, when she came out, brought out a little lunch size bag of Fritos, and they were open bag, like half eaten or whatever. And she said Brendan wanted her to bring that out to me because I was probably hungry sitting there all that time. So that's Brendan. Brendan is a very sweet, lovable boy. And I hold no ill will towards Brendan with what he said to me in the final time he messaged me. And I don't hold anything against Brendan on how he probably feels about me, because I know his mother and people who claim to be supporters of Brendan's have told him lies about me. And it's also understandable that Brendan would have problems with me, because to Brendan, his mother is his whole world. And I don't have many nice things to say about his mom. So that would understandably upset Brendan, that I am saying bad things about his mother. Then I say to anybody and everybody that Brendan's brother Bobby is the real killer. And Brendan defends his brother. And it upsets him for me to say that Bobby is the killer. So I I don't hold any bad feelings towards Brendan. I get it. I've thought about trying to reach out to Brendan all these years later, but it it would just most likely be upsetting to him. And I want him to have the best life he's able to have. So there's no reason for me to try to stir up drama for poor Brendan. So I do not reach out to Brendan. My history with Stephen Avery. So, as I said, I was somebody who just watched Making a Murderer, fell down the rabbit hole. Now, there was somebody named Curtis who actually started Stephen Avery Project. I am not the original person for this page. That was Curtis. And Curtis is somebody who lived in Wisconsin. And so he had known of the case when it had originally happened. And then when the Netflix documentary came out, I believe Curtis started this page like that very weekend. And Curtis got very involved in the case. He got put on Stephen's visitors list. And so Curtis was regularly visiting with Stephen. He met with Kathleen Zellner. He became a great advocate for Stephen. But that changed. And it seems to be something that happens with really anybody who is here for truth and justice and believes in science and facts. Because I started out being very friendly with the family and very supportive of the family. I have been in Barb's home where I interviewed Barb and Scott Toddick and Brendan's biological father. Um, so Pete Dassey. I was very friendly with them. Carla, who named herself the spokesperson of the family, her and her husband have come down here to Illinois to my home. I have been to their home. So I was very friendly with the family at first. And then you find out more. And if you're not blind to it, you see what the family has done. So I first started speaking to Stephen after Curtis made the decision to leave Making a Murderer world. And why did Curtis leave? Because the family started dictating to Curtis what he could say or do. Curtis did not respond well to that. Um, and he was no longer like buddy buddy with the family. And then the family went after him really hard, doing nasty things like trying to ruin his marriage. Um, it was really sad on the lengths this family will do to stop somebody from saying things that they don't like. So Curtis decided that he wanted to move on, and he then the people who were moderators for Stephen Avery project at that time suggested to him that I be the one that take over the page, because I was like the only one at that time that won't just do what the family says, and there you go. Um, and the Stephen Avery project, being the first page that was out there, is also the biggest because the page was started before Making a Murderer became this big hit sensation. So that's why there's over 200,000 followers on this page. So that was all, Curtis's doing. Well, actually, I should say when Curtis left, there was like 100,000, and now there's over 200,000. But so since this was the biggest outlet for Stephen's case, Stephen then wanted to talk with me. And so I started uh, letters with Stephen, and then he started calling me regularly, and then I started visiting him. And that would bring us to time number one, when Stephen cut me off and we were no longer speaking. And that's actually covered in the book in more depth. But Stephen stopped talking to me because family and alleged supporters told him that I said things that I did not. And so Stephen cut off all contact with me. Then 6 months later, out of the blue, Stephen reached out to me because basically what it amounts to is he got mad at his family and then would reach out to me. Stephen would ask me to do things for him. That one instance was he wanted me to post something that he knew would upset his sister Barb and would be catnip for her, that she wouldn't be able to resist and that she would start responding to. And I told him, because I get a lot of people who they're believers of the family. And so if you are believers of the family, you then don't like me. And for Missy asking if I'm friends with Sandy, no, I am not. I could go into my Sandy stuff too, but I don't want to get off track here because my mind gets fuzzy, and when I see the squirrel this way, I forget what I was talking about. But so I have a lot of haters. That's why I'm able to write a whole book on it, on what's been done to me and my husband for my stance on this case. So I said to Stephen, I already have a lot of people who don't like me and who feel empathy and sympathy for Barb, which I understand because I did as well. when I first got involved in this case, I mean, Barbara and I have matching Brendan tattoos that we got at the time that I have on my leg um, for Brendan. Um, but I said, you know, that this will cause trouble for me. I will do it if you want me to, but and so I did it and it did work. Barb then started commenting. Um so um so then Stephen talked to me for I don't even recall at this point how long it was then, and then he stopped talking to me again out. And when I heard from him after the first time, I had said to him, going forward, if somebody tells you I said or did something that upsets you, I would appreciate it if you would come to me and tell me what that is, because he's told lies, and let me at least have the opportunity to give you my side. He said he would, and then he did not. And what I've been told what happened, and that brings us to the history of the Avery family here. Sorry, now I have the hiccups. Stephen's mother, Dolores, who was Stephen's number one supporter, sorry, the only one in the family who has been there for Stephen the entire time. Dolores's health went downhill, and she had I don't know if it's dementia but the family started trying to do fundraisers using Dolores. And then they would say this money and the things people would donate, they said would go to Dolores. But I know from firsthand experience, their hands would be in the till. So Dolores would get a portion of what is donated. The family were taking lots. And so I advised people at that time. I was not telling people, and this is what Stephen was told. Stephen was told that I was telling people not to help his mother, which is absolutely not true. I told people you cannot trust the family, and that if you wanted to donate money to help Dolores, that you were to either A, put it on Stephen's commissary, because Stephen can send money out. So then give it to Stephen, and Stephen can send something to his mother. I said, or go to his attorney's website, KathleenTZellner.com, where she has a PayPal on there that is for Stephen's case. So donate it there, and then email Kathleen Zellner and say, hey, I wanted to give $50 to Dolores. So can you see that she gets this? The only thing I had told people is don't go through the family, because why should the family be making money off of Stephen and Brendan being in prison? Dolores visited when she could, and same thing with Stephen's father. But, you know, as the health gets worse, it's harder and harder to get to that prison. You know, when you can't walk, and it's a whole lot of walking. So it was Dolores who did the most visiting with Stephen. And I get if people wanted to give them money for gas and money to, because the big thing when you go visit somebody in prison is to buy them food, stuff that they don't normally get. Now you only have the option of what's in a vending machine, but still it's something different for them. It's a treat. So if supporters wanted to make sure when Dolores or Earl, not Earl, ew, Earl does. Did Earl ever go visit Stephen? I've got it. I don't see, because I've got the visitors list. Oh, there's Bryce saying you have the, yeah, I still have the visitors list of from the time that Stephen and Brendan went in prison until like the year after making a murderer, how many times people went to visit Stephen and Brendan, because I wanted to show that these people who are trying to make money off this case do nothing for Stephen and Brendan. So it is Barb that regularly goes to visit Brendan, and then it's Dolores, and also Sandy, who I'm not fond of Sandy, but Sandy, who regularly goes to visit Stephen. And Sandy is not Stephen's girlfriend, nor will she ever be Stephen's girlfriend. At least what Stephen had said to me. But so Dolores her health was getting worse and worse. And then there was a day in July that somebody messaged Stephen Avery Project, and they said Stephen asked them to send me that message that oh, thank you, Lisa. So the person said Stephen asked them to send me this message that he was very upset because his mother just died. And he wanted me to post about it, and that he had things that he wanted to say on that, and he wanted me to post. And I told the person, I don't know you, and Stephen has my phone number. I would want to hear this from Stephen directly before I was to post anything. I then emailed Kathleen Zellner and asked her if this was true. And Kathleen told me she had not heard that Dolores had died, but let her look into it. And so Kathleen did and found out it was true, that sadly Dolores had died. Stephen then called me, and the things that he wanted me to post on Stephen Avery Project, which, I mean, it's the things that I had been saying. Yeah, she did die, Bryce, right by Stephen's birthday. Are the same things that he was upset with me before. But for me telling people not to do things with the family. So what Stephen wanted me to put out there was that Stephen's father years ago had paid for both his and his wife's funeral plots, the funeral, everything. So everything is paid for. So Stephen knew that the family would be asking people for money for that. And Stephen wanted his supporters to know that don't give the family money for Dolores's services, because Alan Avery has already paid for it. And it absolutely did happen that the family was trying to make money off of Dolores's death. And then I found out, because now remember, I wasn't talking to Stephen prior to his mother's death, but then I found out that they were keeping Stephen from any contact with Dolores. The family had put Dolores in a home, and Earl's daughter, Kayla is the one who lied about Brendan to police, saying that Brendan had cried to her about this case. But then when she got on the stand, she said she lied. So that's Kayla. Kayla, and I will say this about Kayla. I know Kayla loved her grandmother deeply. That Kayla would take care of Dolores. And Kayla would reach out. So, like, Kayla reached out to me once and told me that she was very upset that her grandmother has never had air conditioning, and that, it was really hot and her grandmother was miserable. And Kayla's like a nursing assistant. Um, and so Kayla told me that she was trying to save money to buy her grandmother an air conditioner. And she told me she had told her father, Earl, as well as her uncle Chuck, so the two men that run the salvage yard, who are there every day where Dolores lives, that grandma should have an air conditioner, but they didn't care. And so I said, my husband has, we have a couple of air conditioning units that we don't use. So we will donate one to Dolores, and we will drive up there, and my husband will put it in for Dolores. And because I said that publicly, that we were going to put in an air conditioner for Dolores, then all of a sudden the family did it. So mind you, the woman was how old at that time? Nobody ever cared until I said I was going to give her an air conditioner. And then they did it. But whatever. So Kayla's gone back and forth with the family, where the family hates her, and then she kisses up to the family to get back in, and then she becomes, part of the family. So Dolores was put in the home that Kayla worked at. And so if Stephen would try to call Dolores, they would block it and wouldn't allow Stephen to talk to his mother. And they would make excuses like Stephen wouldn't call at a good time. But hello, somebody in prison, you can do the best that you can to say that I'm going to call you on this day at this time, but it's prison. So you can't necessarily get the phone then. Many things happen. Dolores became, her mental health deteriorated, and it was said that, she really didn't know who people were or her surroundings. So they said that, they claimed that if she had talked to Stephen, it would just upset her. And that pissed me off because they're like, she doesn't even know what a phone is or whatever. And you could have put the phone on speaker and just let Stephen talk to her. You don't know, maybe her hearing Stephen's voice could have put her at ease, even if she didn't know at that moment who Stephen was. But then that is also for Stephen to, give him that opportunity to have some kind of moment with his mom who was dying. And you took that from him. Just like Barb is Brendan's world, Dolores was Stephen's world. And that upsets me so much about this case, that Dolores was taken from Stephen. So for me to come across this weekend a picture that Stephen allegedly wrote a message on saying they aren't allowing him any access to his father. This is the Dolores thing all over again. I don't know for sure what is happening. So I really want somebody to fill me in. Um, I know that Sandy, who I have said I do not have good feelings for Sandy, but I do appreciate, I know that Sandy had been picking up Alan and taking Alan to visit Stephen in these years now that I have not been having any contact with Stephen. And I'm happy about that. You know, whatever the family has done to me, or, convinced Stephen or Brendan of, at the end of the day, I am a supporter. I am not here to be Stephen's friend. I am not here to be Stephen's defender, even though I am a Stephen defender. I am here because what happened to Stephen and Brendan was wrong. These are two innocent men who should not be there. So the family doesn't have to like me. Stephen doesn't have to like me for me to continue my support of their innocence. And so even though Sandy has not been good to me, if her taking her still having visitations with Stephen, even after what she has done to Stephen in the past, and for her to pick up Alan and bring him, I'm thankful for that. Because I know that's all that Stephen has left at this point, is his dad. So I have voiced that over the years on being thankful that Sandy was taking Alan. I do know that Sandy watches this page, and that people, if she doesn't catch this herself, that people will tell her about this. So, Sandy, if you would like to reach out to me and give me your side of this story, I'm happy to hear it. You can message this page. You can send me an email. Sandy has my phone number, I believe, because once upon a time, Sandy and I used to talk on the phone. Oh, do I not? All right, I don't have her in my phone, but I know we talked on the phone at one point. So she may have my number. I don't know. But I would love to hear from Sandy Greenman. I do not know the last time she took Alan for a visit, but I would like to hear directly from Sandy, not somebody saying Sandy said to send this to me. I don't like hearsay. I would like to hear directly from Sandy. So, Sandy, feel free to reach out to Stephen Avery Project and let us know, when is the last time you took Alan to visit Stephen, and why you aren't bringing him any longer, if that is the case. I am trying to find out what the facts are here. And as I said at the beginning of this, I can only go off of what I know of the history, and I know they took Dolores away from Stephen the last year of her life, and so it's not crazy to think that they're doing the same thing with Alan now. And that pisses me off, because this family has benefited time and time again on the backs of Stephen and Brendan. They should be doing things to make their lives better, not worse. If Alan has had a falling out with Stephen and it is his choice not to talk to Stephen or to visit Stephen, then that is different. But I don't know what the situation is. I want to know what it is. That's why I'm on this live right now. So, I want the people in the know to fill me in. I have not reached out to Kathleen Zellner about this as of yet. I frequently will email Kathleen when I have a question on something. Sometimes she responds to me, sometimes she does not. Um, but I did decide to send a message to Stephen directly. And I told you that at the beginning of this as well. And that Stephen did respond to that message saying that he would have more time to talk later that night. And I did not hear from him. So I don't know if I will be or not. But I am going to all the people who are actually involved to try and fill me in on why, if this is true, that Stephen is not being allowed any contact with his father, Alan Avery. This family, they're disgusting. I'm sorry. Stephen's brothers have regularly gone to the press saying that they believe Stephen is guilty. When, if you look into the history of Stephen's brothers, they have a really disgusting history. I interviewed somebody from Stephen's family. You can find that live video I did. I've had to move all the videos that I do, including this video that I'm doing right now. I have to upload them to my Justice with Jax YouTube channel because since this started, Stephen Avery Project started in December of 2015, Facebook now only allows these live videos to be up for 30 days and then they delete them. So I upload them all to my Justice with Jax YouTube channel. So you can find the video I did with a family member of Stephen's who talked about how she and others in the family had been raped by Chuck, Stephen's brother. So you can find that video there. We also know that Earl Avery put secret cameras in his bathroom so he could video and watch his young daughters and their friends change into bathing suits for a party. We also know that Earl Avery beat his wife, now ex-wife. So these are the people who want supporters to just support them. And then here they are doing things like this, taking Dolores from Stephen, and now allegedly taking Ellen. We know they took Dolores. I talked to Stephen when that happened. That is factual. that they even went so far as to file a court case against Stephen to try to keep him from having any contact with his mother when she was in the home before she died. So I want to know what is happening with Alan now. Stormy's asking who's the power of attorney over the dad. So the Averys have. Oh, there's my husband saying Chuck sold Steven's truck when that's the only thing he wanted them to take care of. Yeah, that's a whole story. That the F-250, is that what it was, Jeff? That's so Stephen bought that truck during the sadly only the 2 years that he was out of prison in between the Bernstein case and then the Hallbach case. And so Stephen bought that truck and it was his pride and joy. And then when he was taken into custody, he asked his brothers to take care of that truck. And not only did they trash that truck, they then sold it. And yeah. Um, so that salvage yard was put into Chuck and Earl's names. Stephen was cut out of it. And um, those boys did not want to share that salvage yard with Stephen. While Stephen is somebody who loves the salvage yard. Stephen had talked to me about um, when he gets out of prison. Now he realizes he should not stay in Wisconsin, no matter how he gets out of prison this time. That Wisconsin obviously not a good place for him, and he still wanted to have a salvage yard. He wanted to look into how he could then move the salvage yard to wherever he goes. He likes working on trucks, um, and tinkering with things. And it was a bond he had with his dad. But his dad then, this was another thing that people got upset with me for when I would say that Alan and Dolores didn't live together. I wasn't saying anything negative about their relationship. It is Alan likes to be in Crivets. You know, they've got a second home up in Crivets, Wisconsin. That's where Alan loves to be. You saw that in, I believe, Making a Murderer Part 2, where he was showing where he gardens and, you know, all that stuff. That's Crivets. And Dolores likes their home at the salvage yard and didn't want to go to Crivets. So Alan spent a lot of time in Crivets. Dolores stayed in Two Rivers, right? Two Rivers is where the salvage yard is. I believe that's the town name. Um, so the salvage yard was in Chuck and Earl's names. Alan Avery, you know, he would sometimes come back and do things at the salvage yard, but it was the other two sons' property. And even all the land that they own up in Crivets, which Bryce has looked into a lot on who owns what and how much land it is up in Crivets. But it always has other people's names on it. So like I well Bryce would have to, I don't remember if Alan's name is even on the one that he lives at or Alan's on it as well as other people. You know, but a lot of people do that with their elder relatives because it is easier than when that person does die that you right away have custody, control, whatever you want to call it, of that. You know, so there's nothing shady with that. But Chuck and Earl owned the salvage yard like the entire time this was going on, that from Making a Murderer on, I believe. Alan's name was not on it. So they really do not want Stephen to get anything from supporters or the salvage yard. Now, it has been said that the salvage yard is closed. If you Google the salvage yard, it will say it is closed. Bryce, my husband, and I just went up there to do once a year. I go on a field trip up to Manitowoc, and I Facebook Live it, and we drive around to all the places involved in this case. And you can watch the videos from our last trip and all the trips that we have taken to Manitowoc. I've been going to Manitowoc since January of 2016. But those are all on the Justice with Jax YouTube channel. So when we went there, the sign was still at the road, the big sign. Nothing on the sign said it was closed. We did drive down Avery Road, and we did drive down to where the trailers were. I did not stop and like knock on the doors or go to the office, but I do not know for sure if it is closed. It seems like it is. And I believe from the investigating that Bryce has done, the people have said it was sold, but there's no evidence that it's been sold, correct? That Chuck and Earl still own the salvage yard. But a thing that most people don't know is where the trailer is that Stephen had lived in. That is not owned by the Avery family and wasn't owned by the Avery family when Stephen lived there. That was owned by Raleigh. I do this every time that I'm not sure how you say his name. A friend of Alan Avery, Raleigh Johnson, needed a place to put his hunting cabin. And so Alan sold him a piece of his land for him to put his trailer there. And so Stephen and his girlfriend at the time, Jody, they were paying rent to Rowley to live in that trailer. And then Rowley would come there to the salvage yard and go throughout the salvage yard just like Earl and whoever else, to hunt, to shoot at varmints. And everything in Stephen's trailer was, other than your personal property, was all Raleigh's. Oh, Lisa just says it's open on Google. Interesting. So when Jody moved into that trailer, the only thing she brought that was hers was a bed and a desk. So that Marlin rifle, am I correct, Jeff, on what that rifle was, that hung over the bed that Stephen and Jody slept in, that they confiscated, was Rowley's gun, his shotgun, that if you read the transcripts from the trial, Rowley testifies that is his gun. Stephen always, though, would have been doing time because what they originally took him into custody for was a felon in possession of a firearm. And Stephen has that prior from when he chased his cousin and pointed a gun at her to tell her to stop talking shit about him. So I don't know how much time Stephen would have gotten from that. And I don't even recall from Stephen's trial, from the transcripts of that one, did it break down what he was being sentenced for. I'm sure he was, but I don't recall what that is. Oh, Lauren says that's new. It said permanently closed about a year ago. Um, so, but Raleigh testified that he used to shoot that gun, and he would shoot that gun towards his garage that was on that property. And now remember that magic bullet that they didn't find after how many searches and how many months. Um, Raleigh would shoot at that direction, shooting at stuff. So you don't know when they find that magic casing that was, what was it, behind a snowblower or some shit. Um, you don't know who shot that, and you can see all about the shooting at the garage in the second installment. I don't. Some people call it a season. I don't know. But part two of Making a Murderer, because Kathleen Zellner does her due diligence in she herself shooting at the garage. But remember that Earl Avery is the one who was at the salvage yard when Teresa Halbach's cousin came a knocking, wanting to search the salvage yard when Teresa was missing. And so he is the one that let her go in there, where she miraculously, with how big that salvage yard is, and at that time how many cars were there, that she was able to find that car that fast. That is a video you can watch on my YouTube channel of when my husband and I went to the salvage yard, and my husband filmed as we walked from the salvage yard office to where the RAV4 was found, and we timed it. And we are able to prove there is no way possible you are going to get to that in that time without being told to go there. This woman said Pam of God, yeah, that she was a private investigator. She said that while she was walking in there, she was scared of, a killer could be there, which, okay. You have to walk past a bunch of cars to get there, that she claimed that she was looking in these cars for a body. There's no way you would have gotten to this point. And if you watch the video, you will see that where the RAV4 was, there was a little pond in that corner that also had trees around it. And then the little road that RAV4 was found. So you don't even readily see that that's someplace to go. So you wouldn't have walked there. No common sense would say you would have gone to that point in doing a search of those cars. Now, when Pam has been asked about finding it that quickly, she said God directed her where to go. This is the same expert private investigator that when she calls in this car, she is asking if she can open the car and wanted to look inside of it. If you're somehow involved as a private investigator, you don't touch evidence. You also would know, if you're any kind of a private investigator, where the VIN would be on a car. So there's there's a whole lot of shady things on Pam of God on why she was the one that day that ended up at the salvage yard. She showed up late to the search party meeting to get direction, her assignment on where she was going. And so I don't know why she would be the one that would then get the allegedly last place that Teresa Hallbach was seen, even though if you look at her day planner that was in her vehicle, she did not have the Averys listed last. Um, and she was the only searcher who was given a camera and given the card for a direct line to the sheriff in case she finds something. Why was it all given to her, Pam of God? Very curious. So, Earl is the one that was involved with letting Pam of God search the salvage yard and find the car within 15 minutes. My history with Earl is he's messaged me threats, and one of the times when I went on my field trip to Manitowoc, I was doing live videos, and who's leaving? Hold on. Somebody's leaving me a voicemail from a weird number. You. Uh-oh. Hold on. Because, hold on. Oh, it's not coming up on here, but somebody's leaving me a voicemail right now. And it's a 920 number. What is 920? What's that area code? Somebody Google that for me. Because I'm now curious on, hopefully that's not Steven calling me, trying to call me from this. It is from Steven! God damn it. Hold on.
This call, press 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call and all future calls, press 9.
Hold on. Pause.
Hello, you have a call at no expense to you from
Stephen Avery,
an inmate at Fox Lake
Damn it.
Correctional Institution. To accept this call, press 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call and all future calls,
Hold
press
on.
9.
My phone
Hello,
is
you have a call at no expense to you
set that any phone number.
an inmate at Fox Lake Correctional Institution. To accept this call, press 5.
Sorry.
To refuse this call,
All
hang
right.
up now.
My phone is set for anytime somebody calls my number that that I don't have programmed into my phone. It just goes directly to voicemail. So now I just program that number that he called me from, but maybe I should also turn that setting off on my phone, because a lot of times then when somebody calls from a prison, it comes from a different number every time. Dang it. So I just missed a number with Steven. So if anybody talks to Steven, let him know why I didn't answer the call. And I got to figure out in my phone now how to take that setting off. I don't recall offhand. Okay, squirrel. No, you can't call him back because you can't call into a prison. Only um, um, attorneys can. So, damn it. Sorry. Well, so that lets you know that eventually I am going to find out because Steven, and I didn't give him my number, so he still has my number. Um, so once I've talked to Steven and get the story from him, I will do another live. I'm trying to figure out now. I don't remember where it is in my phone for that setting of unknowns to go directly to voicemail to turn it off. Um, okay, I got to stop doing trying to figure that out. Um, because I'm just getting distracted. Or somebody Google it how on an iPhone to turn that setting on for unknown to go directly to voicemail, how I can remove it. So I stopped searching my phone for it. But so whenever I do talk to Steven, I will then do another live and let you know what it is that Steven says so I can give you whatever the facts are on this. And I'm so sorry to Steven that I wasn't able to take that call. It's an iPhone, Mandy. Lisa, I am very protective of like doing a phone call and posting that with Steven. People have done that before, but prisons say when you take the call, that nothing can be recorded, blah, blah, blah. And the inmate can get in trouble. And so then they could lose access um, to the phone. So I don't ever want to do anything that could possibly hurt the inmate. So, um, so like if Steven had called me, go to settings, phone, screen, unknown callers. Okay, go to settings. Where is it? Um, where is my? See, my phone just recently changed with an update. So everything's weird in here. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Um, so if Steven called or say the number that I just put in, if he was to call me again, and so like when Melissa Kaluzinski calls me, if I don't answer the first time, she calls me back like right away. So usually, if it was something like that, I would have the chance to catch it because she um, calls me back right away. But Stephen may, you know, you don't know what his access is to the phone, and I didn't answer, and so maybe he will just try back later. So anyway, so if Stephen was to call now or whatever, I would end this live. I would not go live with Stephen on the phone because I am not doing anything. I would not do anything that could remotely get Stephen in trouble and punish him. If it's something that um, Stephen and Kathleen Zellner approved of, I would then do. But I don't I don't think I've ever done it with Stephen. I've done it with Melissa. Um and but I've also did it with Melissa's dad. See, when I go into my settings, I don't even see phone in here now, where there used to be a thing that said phone, and nothing says phone. General. I'm getting so distracted. Um, oh, that pisses me off. Thomas, they don't have tablets for messaging? Correct. They do have tablets. Um, so and that's how when I messaged Steven yesterday, it would go to a tablet. Lauren says he's meeting with Zellner on Wednesday the 21st. How do you know that, Lauren? Um, and that's good if he's having a meeting with Kathleen. I know that because Kathleen is also the attorney for the Melissa Kaluzinski case that I'm part of. Melissa Kaluzinski. That's a case here in Illinois. Um, and it means so much to Melissa when she hears from Kathleen, even if there's nothing to go that's happening in the case, it's nice to hear from the attorney to just check in on you and tell you what's going on with the case. Oh, Lauren says he told her. Well, that's good that you talk with Steven. Um so yeah, I'll definitely get that figured out with my phone, and hopefully I will talk to Steven, and then I will uh, do another live to fill y'all in on what Steven has told me about if he's being cut off from his dad, because if that's true, that really settings. I have to go into apps. Haha. Apps. Then go into phone. Hold on, I'm scrolling down to phone. Then where is it? No, I want to turn that off. Hold on. Sorry. I know this is really annoying because I found where it says it, but then I'm trying to unclick it. All right. It says in here. Wait. No. It has a check mark on the silence. It says silence. Calls from unsaved numbers will be silenced, sent to voicemail, and displayed on the recents list. But when I'm trying to uncheck it, it won't uncheck. Everyone try to call me. Yeah. Uh. Here. Because they've changed it to different things you can choose. I can choose never, calls from unsaved numbers will ring, and missed calls will be displayed. Or I could check ask reason for calling. Calls from unsaved numbers will be asked for more information before iPhone rings. Or silence, calls from blah, blah, blah. So right now I have it set to never. Thank you for your help. We'll see now, but I'm only going to then answer any call from like a 920. Ta-da! All right. So, thank you. See, I'm not tech savvy at all. But hopefully Stephen calls me back today. Lauren, if you talk to Stephen, let him know what happened. And so you'll just have to stay tuned to Stephen Avery Project on when we schedule another live after I've talked to Stephen. And then I can tell you what I've learned from Stephen. Probably after I talk to Stephen, I will email Kathleen Zellner as well because I always want to go through the attorney to find out um, if something's okay or not. Because at the end of the day, I just want to protect the inmate. Oh, sure. She asked if he should call you in an hour. Yeah, that's fine. I'm off of work and here all day. This is the only thing scheduled for me to do today. So thank you, Lisa and Mandy. So because yeah, I miss tons of comments while I'm on here doing different things, and my mind keeps going from one thing to another. So you would have to okay. So stay tuned to this page, and we would then make a post letting you know that then um, I would probably then go give you an hour notice that I've now talked to Stephen, and then I will go live with what it is that I can say. Because I would also do, if Stephen doesn't want me to say something, then I'm not going to say it. Um, so, again, because my priority is always the inmate in keeping them safe and protected. ADHD too, yeah. Um, so gonna be an interesting day. Hopefully, I will hear back from Steven. And it doesn't matter though what Steven would say to me about his family. I even said this in the message that I sent to Steven. Um, I'm somebody who's like, I try to be fully transparent with you all. So I'm going to read to you what my message was to Stephen. Hi, Stephen. This is Jax West from Stephen Avery Project. I was wondering if you're still upset with me. Well, I don't even know why you're mad at me to begin with. I still support you and regularly do so, or do what I can. I don't have my glasses on. What I can to help your case. I just wanted to check in on you as I saw something yesterday saying the family took your dad from you now. I know you know um, how I feel about most of your family. It is wrong what they have done to you, but I'm not surprised as they haven't been good to you for a long time. I'm so sorry they continue to do this to you. Please let me know if you would like to continue speaking with me or not. If not, can you please tell me what I allegedly did to upset you? See, and my assumption is because Sandy said to him that I told people not to help his mom. I told you the last time you got upset with me due to a lie Carla told to please talk to me if someone says something negative about you, and you said you would, but then I don't hear from you again until your mom died, and you wanted me to post about it on Stephen Avery Project. Well, I will end this message now since I don't know if you even want to hear from me or not. I hope you're as okay as you can be in there. And then his response to me was he'd have more time to talk later that night. And so maybe he tried to call me last night too. I don't know. Um, so yes, I will do another live feed later today if I hear from Stephen today. Now I do work tomorrow, we're off today here in the States. It is Martin Luther King Day, so it is a state holiday. I am a state employee, so I get those days off. Yay. Um, but I do work Tuesday through Friday this week. So if I don't hear from him today, I do not know for sure when I would be able to go live. I have a meeting Wednesday night. Um, Other than that, my nights are free. And I know that's hard for all of you around the world that then, because I don't get home from work 5 p.m. Central Time, for me to go live at 6 p.m. Central Time. That not everybody could be on there. So that's why today for this live, I had Chat GPT. What is the best time for me to go live? That the most people from around the world could be here live. Um, but I will, if I talk to Stephen today, will make a post saying that I'll go live in an hour, and that would give people time to be here. But if the stuff Stephen says to me he doesn't want me to say anything, I'll still do a live, but to let you know that Stephen says, he wants stuff kept private. I'll honor whatever it is that Stephen wants. But Stephen also knows how I feel about his family. And no matter what Stephen says to me, I'm still going to dislike his family. Because I believe his family have done Stephen and Brendan wrong. It just is. So I'm going to end this live now, and I will be uploading it to my Justice with Jax YouTube channel for when, so we still have it after Facebook deletes it. We then post the links here periodically on Stephen Avery Project to the different videos that are now on Justice with Jax. And the reason, by the way, that is named Justice with Jax is I do advocate for 2 other people. Thank you, Lauren, that you sent him a message. And that cost you 25 cents. I know now, because since I just set up that account yesterday, that we did make the graphic and post it for anybody else if you want to try to send Stephen a message. But what I will say on those text messages, it's the same thing like I've always said about writing letters to Stephen. Our number one question is, will Stephen write me back? I don't know. He may and he may not. But I don't like if people are going to write to him only because they want to hear back. You should be writing, if you feel this strongly about Stephen, you should be writing to him just so he knows he's got a supporter and that you support him, not as a quid pro quo that he has to write you back. And you have to realize lots of people write to him, and I don't know the full details with Wisconsin. I know more about Illinois for the Melissa Kaluzinski and Marnie Yang cases that I'm involved in, that their mail and stuff can be bullshit and take a while for them to get there. But so my YouTube is called Justice with Jax because on here on Stephen Avery Project, if I talk about Melissa or Marnie, inevitably we get comments from people saying, what does this have to do with Stephen's case, and get mad and don't want to hear about them. So by calling it Justice with Jax, that's then where I can talk about any case that I want. I mean, I've done live videos talking about many different cases after just watching a documentary. Hell, we went live to talk about the Johnny Depp case, you know. So whatever strikes my fancy that I want to talk about that I think is wrong, I can do on Justice with Jax. And when I was starting that, I wanted to call it just Jax after from Will and Grace when he would be just Jack, you know, so called just Jax. And it was Marnie Yang. I was talking to her about it, and she said, "How about Justice with Jax?" So Marnie is who uh, 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 then named the page. And it was Marnie that I was in court for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday last week. We had an evidentiary hearing for Marnie, and the judge said he's going to rule on her case May 15th. So that case is shut up, Bryce. Yeah, we've talked about the staircase, and it was not an owl, Bryce. I'm going to slap you upside the head. It's not an owl. An owl did not kill her. Her husband did. I'm sorry, he's guilty. You know, so I'm not somebody who's going to instantly say in all these cases people are innocent. Um, Staircase dude, guilty. Bryce. All right, so yeah, I've been going for an hour and a half. I'm going to end this. Hopefully, I'll hear from Steven today. And we'll go live again. Thank you, everybody except Bryce, for being here today. Uh, um, and for those of you who will watch this later, um, if you have any questions, you can send those to us. If you're somebody who knows something about the case, please go to KathleenTZellner.com. She's got a direct email and phone number for where you can give her information on the case. Don't assume Kathleen knows. Send it to her. And Kathleen Zellner is still with the case. That's another number one question we always get. Kathleen has said it on average takes 15 years to overturn a wrongful conviction. She has only been with the case since January of 2016. So our system here in the States are horrible. And it takes a long time. And unfortunately, many years pass where there's nothing to update on the case, nothing to say or do. So just because you don't hear from Kathleen Zellner doesn't mean she's abandoned the case. She has said she is with this case to the end. You know, maybe Stephen could get upset at her at some point and fire her. That absolutely could happen. But outside of that, Kathleen will be with it to the end. She's no quitter. And she only takes cases that she knows the person is innocent. Kathleen is a fighter. She has freed 20 people. She's freed the most people. She is the single attorney. How can you watch this again? It will remain here on the Stephen Avery Project for the next 30 days till whenever Facebook deletes it. But it will also be uploaded onto the Justice with Jax YouTube page. So, all right. Now I'm going to go have breakfast. And as always, investigation continues. It's not an owl, Bryce.